Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. It's been a minute since we last made a proper video, certainly on a patch. We have patch 3.03 today and there's a bit to go over, maybe not as much as people may have been hoping, but Yoru changes are in the works. The devs talk about that, as well as an impactful change to Viper. Before we get started though, a quick PSA from Ryan in the past.
Thank you, Future Ryan. This is Past Ryan, quickly here to say that this video is sponsored by Alienware. You might have noticed the Alienware M15R5 laptop in front of me, and also, yeah, this isn't Bristol. Where am I? I'm in Madrid. I'm in Spain. I've traveled and I've come to my first ever VALORANT LAN to cast. It's been so much fun. It's been great to get out and about, but also, I've had to do a little bit of HitScan work whilst I've been here. I've lost my voice because of the casting, by the way. But I've actually just finished editing the Sentinels of Light Skin preview video, which you would have seen by now. I've just finished it, and editing on this laptop and playing games, the performance is exceptional. An AMD Ryzen 5000 series mobile processor and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series graphics card in this thing means that this setup, editing and playing games and all that jazz, it's better than my home setup. And this is a 15-inch laptop. It's not heavy, it's not hard to lug around, it's not an absolute beast that you need to move through. I could put this in my bag, and traveling here has been absolutely streamlined, not a problem. But if you want to find out more information, if you're looking for a laptop that you can move around with, or just want a setup like this that could do it all, streaming, gaming, making content, you can find more information in the description and the top comment. And thanks again for Alienware for sponsoring this video. Back to the news, Ryan, what's going on?
So this is the first patch ever since KO was introduced at the start of episode 3 that actually has significant agent changes in here. Or agent change, it's to Viper. But weirdly enough, this patch actually starts out with a bit of a letter from John Kazicki talking about Yoru, and specifically the Yoru changes / rework that was meant to be coming in for the agent. This is what John said about it. He said, "Hey all, want to touch base on the Yoru changes we were hoping to get out by 3.02. So not this patch, last patch. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, the team is going to have to indefinitely delay the Yoru updates. We're in a situation at the moment where certain resources needed to do this are unavailable to us. As soon as we get a cleaner picture of when we can ship these changes, you'll be the first to know. Sincere apologies to everybody who's been looking forward to these." Yeah, it's disappointing. Riot also had a week off last week. Company-wide, no matter what the game or the region, everybody from Riot had a holiday week off where they could go wherever. They'll have another one around Christmas holiday time as well. I don't think that's a problem personally, and I don't have a problem with the fact that a lot of these previous patches have been relatively small in regards to some of the changes they've had in there, because we had the massive update with changes to every single agent at the start of episode 3. Real quick before we move on to other stuff, I don't think people realize just how big these Yoru changes were supposedly going to be. This isn't just a reduce the price of fake out the fake footsteps ability or add another charge. Speculation here. I think they're going to rework the ability. I think they're going to just make something new entirely, or make it significantly different from what it is currently. I think the Flash, Gate Crash, and the Ultimate are all fine. They work, and it makes Yoru Yoru. But Fake Out is a completely useless ability in a lot of given situations, so maybe that's why there's no resources, because it's not just the devs working on how much it should cost. They need animators, artists to adapt whole new abilities. And this is what, remember what Raikou said about Yoru at the start of episode 3, that these changes are really big.
No, yeah, the changes have been pretty difficult to test, and so trying to kind of like, there's a few assets that just need to be rebuilt as well because of how things are changing. So that's going to be taking a lot of that time, is like trying to figure out how we can make this intuitive for players when the changes go in, and kind of like, you know, make the audio and the VFX play properly is going to be one of the more challenging efforts we have, but we're really excited to share when we can. And I usually don't like hyping up some of this stuff, but I just, when we play test these changes, the first few play tests we've had, when we put them in, it was just like the biggest smile on a lot of people's faces. And so I think we're going to be amping up how much fun Yoru players have, and how you know, maybe hopefully we'll get some new Yoru players in. But yeah, we're keeping an eye on him for sure. We think there's a lot more that can be done with Yoru, and so we're going to try to push as much as we can when we get a chance.
I also wanted to dismiss people that think that we're not getting these Yoru changes because the devs are too busy working on Agent 17 or the new map. Bear in mind that the next act actually starts in 2 weeks, at least if you're going off what the battle pass is saying, so maybe the Yoru changes are in there. But I don't think it's, oh, if there's a new agent in 2 weeks, that was rushed and the Yoru changes kind of got put to the wayside a little bit. No doubt that Agent 17 or map number 7 is done at this point. It's just about shipping it and making sure that it all works bug free, right? So some things come up that's taking our attention a lot more, but it is a shame to not see these big Yoru changes coming in. It is weird that the devs have done this. I do want to talk about it a bit more, but I also kind of want to go over the changes to Viper because these are also pretty impactful. For Viper, they fixed a bug where Viper's Pit starts forming at the cursor placement instead of around Viper. Surely that's intentional, right? Like, it's always seems to have been a thing where you look on the ground is where the Viper's Pit comes out from. Certainly recently, a lot of pros have been really using this little bit of tech to take aggressive space with the ultimate, certainly on maps like Icebox. There's some examples I want to talk about, but the devs say that this actually wasn't intentional at all. It alters the way Viper's Pit is deployed. We accidentally shipped this bug in 3.01 that caused our ultimate to spawn a placement reticle instead of a rounder, which is the little X reticle that you're seeing on the ground. We know a lot of Viper mains thought this was intentional and might not be happy about the revert. We're very sorry to cause you pain. We think the Viper's Pit can be a very potent tool for holding an area. Given the impact, it's important that her team pays the cost of securing ground before she can place her ultimate, as opposed to the ultimate securing that ground itself without giving up her position. And this is the example I was talking about with Icebox, where you can place it on A, on the high ground from an aggressive position, but also on B. B's the main one because you actually see some teams sage walling the Viper onto a bit of higher ground. She can place the Viper's Pit a lot deeper down B main, which takes all of that space and doesn't actually put the Viper at any risk. Specifically when you add in the fact that you don't need to be stood in a Viper's Pit for it to bloom, and also the super long time where you can be out of the ultimate before it drops. The whole gauge filter there. So it means that you can get walled up on B main, place an aggressive Viper's Pit to take all of that space, and be perfectly safe when doing so. So I think this is a change that only affects the top echelon of Viper mains, the pros, immortals, radiant players. If you're in platinum, if you're in gold and silver and you play this agent, it's really not going to have all that much impact, but I do think this is a nerf. I do think this has significant leverage against Viper, certainly when you look at how she's been used by the best players in the world. Like, they're very good at using that little tech to take that space. Now it no longer is based off where you aim that reticle, you can't place it further ahead from you. It will bloom where you're stood. It's still a great ultimate, but another thing I wanted to know about this is pros have got very good at spraying down a Viper when she ults. So a Viper's Pit gets used, the enemy team will spray in that position just hoping to catch the Viper. That's going to be a lot more prevalent with this change because the Viper's Pit comes from you. It means that if they see where it's blooming, they can just spray that and most likely kill you if they're good enough. If they have a good sightline on you, there's going to be a lot more punishing sides of Viper's Pit now against a Viper, which I think is perfectly fine. She's always been seen as a must pick on maps like Bind. Icebox is a whole different story, but like Bind, Split, her pick rate is very good. But we're now starting to see teams move away from it a little bit. I think this makes Viper a solid choice if you're good on her, but not a must pick if you're not. So yeah, I'm okay with this change, but Viper mains, let me know what you think. In regards to other changes in this patch though, the other meaningful one other than crosshair settings for those that are interested in copying every aspect of TenZ's life at this point, you can probably just copy and paste it across with some of the new settings that we knew because it was data mined. The other stuff as well when it comes to maps is actually now that you can shoot through some of the Radiant crates with appropriate weapons from all angles. Previously, you could shoot through some crates from a limited direction, but not others. To go more specific, you know, these Radiant boxes are basically like that colored. You have these X's, these metal X's that go across. If a bullet hits to them, it doesn't penetrate, but if it actually goes through the green meshy part that's that colored, it will go through. But it was super RNG. Now it's not, and I think we're going to see a lot more teams playing very anti-plant just because you can spray through the box that looks like that on the back of the C site on Haven, or on Bind, for example. there's a lot more wall bangable territory, and we're already seeing stuff like the Ares and Odin being picked up a lot more. I think that weapon is actually going to skyrocket in how often it gets used. That's my take. So it might not seem like much, but this could be a really irritating change for a lot of people. That's my guess. Now that we've spoken about everything, I wanted to talk about the patch as a whole, because it's been 6 weeks since episode 3 started, with KO being dropped in and all of the big agent changes, and it's going to be 8 weeks before we at least see anything else when it comes to agent balance. For a lot of agents, they've not been touched in Act 1 of episode 3 at all, because the devs wanted to see how it was. Personally, I really like the fact that John actually wrote to us and said, hey, we were meant to do this, but just letting you know it's not coming for now. As somebody that's had to deal with long content droughts from Overwatch, we never typically saw Blizzard kind of come forward and go, hey, we're working on this, but it's been delayed, we'll let you know. They do get a lot of blowback, certainly on the Blizzard forums. I know Jeff Kaplan was very vocal about that, of just they never want to make promises or suggest stuff, just because when it gets moved, people get very angry. I don't think many people are going to be too bothered about this. Personally, I'm just really thankful that they kind of touched base and went, hey, we're working on it still, don't worry. Because hearing nothing and then having 6 weeks of no agent changes reminds me of being back in Overwatch. But with the massive changes that we saw in episode 3, I'm more than happy to let these changes play out for a couple of months. And if we have a new agent, new map next 2 weeks or weeks after that, whenever the next act is going to be, I would expect to see some more agent changes in there. I would say, however, we're in a nice period in VCT, we're in playoffs. I want to make sure that any balance changes that come in soon come in now, before they actually get playable in Masters 3 in Berlin, which is at the start of September. If we see balance changes in 2 weeks, then it only gives pros 4 weeks to adjust to maybe a whole new meta. Right now, anything goes, so I'm quite happy to see the pro scene play out as it is. Speaking of the pro scene, this is actually recorded on the Monday, the patch comes out on the Tuesday, because I'm actually traveling to Germany on Tuesday. So the day that this video goes out, I'll probably be in the sky at this point. So that's why this video is a little bit weirder or a little bit more different, why there's no gameplay from the Korean channels to show off, and also why I have zero information on the new skin set. Going based off the fact that we had Ruination and also Sentinels of Light for the last 2 weeks, which were amazing skin sets, I would expect that we don't get a premium skin set this time. I think they're going to be in line with like Prism, the Winter Wonderland sort of set, the green screen skins as people infamously call them. I do think we're going to get a straightforward, clean skin set that doesn't necessarily have all of the bells and whistles of Ruination or Sentinels of Light. Just, you know, cadence. We have 2 S-tier skins. Now we're going to dip back to something more straightforward. But at this point, we've not been sent any assets. Obviously, they've not been data mined yet by Mike or VALORANT or anybody like that. So you'll probably see it. I'll retweet it on Twitter on the Hitscan channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, not heard anything on that. You'll just have to hop into game or check VALORANT to see what's going on. Because right now, I'm currently unavailable. Other stuff to go over data mined. I imagine we're going to start hearing more about new map, new agent, whatever it's going to be next. After this patch, certainly if we're led to believe that we're going to be getting Act 2 in 2 weeks, but again, that's just based off what the battle pass is saying with 14 days left, not necessarily based off what Riot have been saying. Again, they took a week off, something has come up, unforeseen circumstances, so maybe we're going to hear back from them and say, hey, we're actually delaying episode 2 a month or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, we're in a bit of a weird time when it comes to communication from Riot. But I have no doubt they're going to be back into the swing of things at this point. Like I mentioned, I'm flying to Germany, so I'll be working out there for 2 weeks. I'm on the VCT for EMEA, so I'm working in an actual studio in Germany. I'm super excited for it. And I did want to sort of move on to a bit of a talking point about content, because I haven't put out a proper video since KO came out. We did the Ruination and the Sentinels of Light skin exclusive, but there's not been any news. There's been no patches, nothing realistically to make a video about. And I don't mind that. The fact that I do so much other different stuff means that I'm not overly reliant on YouTube to pay my bills, like buy my food and stuff. So I don't need to worry too much about making videos, making content, and relying on YouTube full time. So it means that I can just make videos when it's necessary instead of making videos every 2 days about news that isn't really news, it's more just fluff, which I had to do with Overwatch way back when. So I'm appreciative of the fact that I have that freedom to not have to be making content when I don't want to or when there's no need for it. But I do want to make more content. I think hit scans sort of fallen by the wayside just a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. Again, sorry for those that were expecting more content, but I like the fact that we can make videos when it's important and not make videos when we have a patch with nothing in it, and not get hyperbolic and start talking about it in a way that's super like, oh, it's the end of the world, because it's not. It's just a game. It's a quiet time. Every game has it. But yeah, I do want to make more content, maybe esports stuff on the channel potentially, but I just want to make content what you guys want to see. 400k subscribers as well. That was super cool to hit. So thank you very much for all of the support there. It's just been great to sort of run this channel, but I do want to get back into the swing of things. Riot had a week off. I've had a couple of weeks off now because the Ruination Sentinels of Light skin videos were done way ahead of time. So focusing on VCT, I'm ready to get back into YouTube, and if Act 2 is in a couple of weeks for episode 3, I'm ready to nail some content on whatever new content we get. So let me know what you're interested in seeing, and we'll make videos when we have stuff to talk about. But I'm not gonna give you BS videos when there's nothing going on. So hopefully you still support the channel because of that. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and also thanks again to Alienware for helping support the channel. Being able to actually go away for Germany for 2 weeks means I get to give this a bit more of a spin. Like Madrid, it was only a few days, but I got to play a lot of games and make the Sentinels of Light skin video like I mentioned. This time I'm away for 2 weeks, so I'll definitely be making more content. I've downloaded a few other games as well, just in case I get a bit bored. Obviously going to be playing VALORANT as well. So yeah, thanks again for the support there. Thanks for watching. You guys are amazing. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.